Hello, this is OverlordBou, and today we'll be talking about the new dockyard that just came out with the new ship, the ZF-6. So today we'll be talking about tips and tricks to help you along the way with that grind and a little bit about the ship. So the ZF-6 is a pretty powerful tier 9 DD that I've been able to play extensively since it came out, which is a lot of fun. The ship does boast a lot of consumables. It has a nice little smoke with a 73-second dispersion with a nice little engine boost, but the ship is a little bit on the slow side, so don't expect too much from that one. Its main gimmick is the reload booster, which lasts for 15 seconds and reduces the reload by 50%. The build I currently have, it reduces it down to about... So right now it's at 3.3 seconds. With the reload booster, it goes to about 1.6 seconds, which is a really fast reload for the DD, which is very nice. And its main gimmick is the fact that it has very strong AP with improved pen angles. This makes it where it's able to pen battleships, cruisers, and DDs, even if they're angled to you. It's a very strong. It does a lot of damage. It just doesn't have a heal, so you have to play a little more conservatively on that side. But I'd highly recommend people getting this ship. So we're gonna look at the shipbuilding phases here. So there are a total of 22 phases that you have to earn. And the thing is, you can only earn 19. So to be able to get the remaining 3, you have to go into the starter packs and you have to buy 3 shipbuilding phases. So you have to pay 5,000 doubloons. I feel like that's pretty fair for the fact that you get premium time, you get credits, you get camos, you get XP, you get free XP, you get commander XP, you get a lot of special flags along the way, coal, gift containers, and the end you get the ZF-6. So I think that the 5,000 doubloon deal is really worth it in the end. You do have to buy these though before you complete 3 shipbuilding phases. So after you complete 3 shipbuilding phases, these will no longer be able to be bought, and you'll only be able to buy this. So it's better to do this right now as soon as possible. Buy this here if you're interested in this ship. So that's a little bit overview of the ship and the little ship phases you have to do. So now we're gonna go into the actual missions to help you guys go along your way, and I'm gonna let SAT score start us off with that one.
Alright, so it is broken down into 8 phases. So the first phase, with each one being subsequently opened after you complete the previous one. It gradually starts out easy, but then it becomes more grindy as you get into the later phases. The first 5 phases will give you 2 shipbuilding phases each for a total of 10, and then the last 3 will give you 3 shipbuilding phases for a total of 9 for that section, and then 19 if you complete all of the phases. So if you only buy 3 shipbuilding phases with doubloons, then you will need to complete all of the dockyard missions. If you buy the starter pack, then you don't need to complete the last 2 phases and only need to get 1 shipbuilding phase out of the 6th section. So keep that in mind if you have less time and want to spend the doubloons to speed up your progress. So starting with the first phase, the draughts and designs, you need to complete 6 missions in any order. So, for what I've seen, the easiest way to do this is to play a gunboat destroyer. That way, you can get the first 5 missions done relatively quickly. So, the reason is because several of these missions will overlap with each other. For example, 600 ribbons and 700 main battery hits ribbons with destroyers is you can do both at the same time. I'd also recommend doing in co-op, as bots are generally more cooperative than the human players. And of course, play at the highest tier possible, since they tend to give you more hits and more damage, which is important for the later stages. So playing a gunboat destroyer should be able to give you 5 of the first 5 out of 6. For the last one, you can choose either you can try for a cruiser and farm defended ribbons, or you can take the slower route and play Battleship and play for about 9 or 10 games. If you're good, you can also try for the last mission, which is to either get 50 destroyed ribbons or to get 2.3k base EXP. Remember, that mission requires you to play in randoms. So if you're not confident that you can get 2.3k base, then just focus on the other missions. So that does it for the first section of the dockyard. For the second section, I would recommend Battleships here. So the first 4, after the capture mission, you can get the 3 missions can be done with Battleships, and then one of the missions requires you to get main battery hits or secondary battery hits. That you can farm with a secondary focused battleship. You also want to grab a destroyer so you can easily get the 5 captured or assisted in captures ribbons. And you might also be able to complete the spotted ribbons along the way. The last mission in the second section is surprisingly easy. Earn 10 million credits can be done if you set up the flags properly and put them on your favorite premium ship. Or, if you're confident, you can take an AP cruiser like Petropavlovsk, or if you get lucky with a battleship, you can get 7 hits to the Citadel ribbons. Or, you can even just play German carriers and probably get 7 hits anyways. Moving on, we go on to the third section, side plating. This is where it starts to get grindy. So, I would recommend Battleships for this one as well. To get one of the shipbuilding phases, you have to cause 1.4 million HP of damage to ships, and you'll do that along the way when you do the main battery hits for Battleships. The rest of these can be done with any ship, but I figure since you're playing Battleships, you'll get all of those along the way. The last mission for this one is, I wouldn't recommend trying for it unless you're confident you can get 2.6 base EXP, but that is, I don't find that to be too common, so you're probably better off focusing on playing Battleships and getting the missions done, or you can also do it with a cruiser. Both of these will work. For the fourth phase, aiming system, again it is pretty grindy, and surprisingly I would recommend carriers for this one. If you have the Kaga or the Max or the newer Maxi Emo Man, you can farm the last 2 missions here, cause 700k HP of damage to the ships using torpedoes. And the last mission is the get 24 torpedo hits ribbons with carriers. If you happen to have Kaga or Emo Man, you can get both of these done pretty easily. The first 4 missions, of course, will come naturally as you complete the other missions. If you don't have either of these 2, then it's going to be a relatively long. You can try for, I would just recommend playing either Battleships or Destroyers at this point. For Destroyers, you would definitely want a spotting destroyer, just so you can farm that spotting damage. For example, Japanese destroyers. For the 5th section, launch, we'll talk about the last mission first. In one battle, get 440 ribbons. That one can be accomplished if you have a gunboat destroyer or a light cruiser. If you happen to have a friend, go ahead and ask him for smoke, and it'll make completing this section a lot easier. As for the other missions, you can try for the 850k HP of damage can be done with both gunboat destroyers, and you can do it with destroyers, although I think the easier one is to either do it with cruisers or with battleships. For most people, you can get more consistent damage in cruisers, so that would be my recommendation here. You do need to spot torpedoes, so make sure to have hydro on your cruisers. And then we get to the 6th section, systems check. As I said before, if you've bought the starter pack, you only need to get one of the shipbuilding phases here, and then you'll be done. So that you can just put on your credit farming flags and get the 3rd mission done relatively easily. For those who need to grind out this section as well, then I would recommend just playing Battleships. You'll see this is a pretty common theme because one of the missions requires you to farm potential damage, and Battleships are one of the easier ways to farm potential damage, assuming you're not sitting at 30 kilometers trying to snipe with your Deadeye Thunderer. And speaking of Deadeye Thunderer, the last mission is to get 7 Incapacitation Ribbons. If you use the Thunder HE, it is probably one of the easier ways to get incapacitations, so you could in theory get one done very quickly. If you don't want to play Battleships though, then I would recommend the cruisers next, because getting 100 hits to Citadel or Set on Fire's ribbon is fairly doable in co-op. Just get an AP cruiser and just keep rushing AI ships. Do that for about 9 or 10 games, and you'll get that done. For the 7th phase, combat training, if you happen to have a good fire starting cruiser, like Smolensk would be one. Light cruisers would be good as well. If you have European destroyer, get 120 torpedo hits is a solid one. This section tends to favor destroyers a bit more because the 10 captured or assistant capture, as well as team spotting damage, favors destroyers a bit more. If you have a European destroyer, this will be a little bit easier. And for the last mission, Wormkraken Unleashed, the fastest way to do it is actually to play it late night when less people are playing and get into a bot game. You should be able to get 5 kills fairly easily. Just make sure you're playing at tier 5 though. Take out your Julius Caesare or a Kamikaze, go into tier 5 and kill 5 bots for your achievement. And last but not least, we have the last phase, Battle Hardening. Again, this one is pretty much a grind fest. This one doesn't matter too much on what ship you bring. Although that being said, I would probably lean a bit more towards battleships just because of the potential damage. Although, as I said, you can just bring any ship here and you'll get it done sooner or later. So that is my recommendations on the fastest way to grind through each of those sections.
Alright, well thank you so much, SAT Score. I appreciate the tips, brother. Is there anything else you think we should know before we end this one today?
Nope. I think this is all for now.
Alright, well, make sure if you guys have any questions or concerns, definitely put them down below. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll talk to y'all later. Hey guys, thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to like and leave a comment down below. I always love reading your guys' comments. It's greatly appreciated.